Welcome to day 6 of the 21 Days of Prayer podcast with REVO Church. We've had the first week starting to come to a close. It's been a great first week. I hope you guys have enjoyed hearing from people from all different walks of life. You got REVO Church staff and REVO Church members, so it's a great opportunity to get to hear from all different people who have written some of the devotions for our 21 Days of Prayer. I had the expert on day 6 with me here today, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hey, so my name is Michael, and I'm one of the student pastors at REVO. Jamie hit me with an email and said, "Hey, man, why don't you write a day for us?" And then Matthew invited me on to talk more about it. So I'm just excited to be here, excited to have a chance to take us as a church a little bit further in this process of making habits of prayer in our life. So yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
And I think if I've got the order down now, my memory could be failing me here, but I think you are the first REVO Walkertown
Let's go
member to be on.
Walkertown
So shout out to the
crew,
Walkertown
represent.
campus.
Let's go.
Thanks for being here, Michael. Glad
Yeah.
to have you as the expert on day 6.
Glad to be
You
here.
may not be an expert on everything in the Bible, but you're an expert on this for today because you wrote
guess I
today's
am.
devotion. So glad to have him. I wanted to ask you as we start thinking about this and thinking about the devotion that you wrote, what is the way that you connected prayer as a spiritual discipline with your scripture verses? You had the passage in James and 1 Kings 3. So how'd you connect that and prayer together?
Yeah. Well, I think part of it was, looking at the themes of those two passages. A lot of it comes from this concept of when we don't have what we need to rely on the Lord to give it to us. And when you look at Scripture, the best way to do that is through prayer. And so when you're looking at James 1:5, James 1:5 is saying, "But if anyone is deficient in wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously and without reprimand, and it will be given to him." And so, that's the simplest task. You look at 1 Kings and you see Solomon and the situation that he's in, and that he has an opportunity to ask the Lord for something. And so, when I'm looking at how you can connect these two passages, it's as simple as, man, when we are lacking, the best way to receive something from the Lord is to just approach him in prayer and ask him for it boldly.
Yeah, that James verse is one of my favorite verses.
It is.
That promise that we can ask for wisdom when we need it, and God will give it to us. I mean, that it's one thing to have you can ask God for wisdom. It's another thing to get you can ask God for wisdom and he will give it to you. And
Right.
it's like,
That's
that
crazy.
changes everything. And so you're talking about how you connected it to prayer, but how about your prayer life? How did that change your prayer life, or reinforce something that you're already doing? Is there new practices you're putting into place? Just how is this topic, this day, the devotion you wrote, how has that been impacting you?
Whew. Well, hey, let me share this with the crew out there watching. I am now a new dad of 2 girls. So
Praise
we
God.
have one daughter, and then my wife and I just had another girl a few months back. And her name's Tatum, and I have been learning that there's a lot that I need as a dad, and it's made me feel like not an expert at anything in this journey of fatherhood I've been on, and realizing that one of the biggest things that I can do right now in the situation I'm in is to really rely on the Lord to provide what I need. And right now, what I need is a lot of wisdom. And I think that what's allowed me to get to that place is this posture of humility, just realizing that I can't do this on my own, that I can't just trust on the people around me. It's more than that. Like, I really, really need to rely firmly on God to provide me with the knowledge and the wisdom of how to be a good dad and a father and a husband and a leader. And so for me, it was really personal, reading about the fact that, hey, all I have to do when I don't feel like I have enough, which is all the time, is simply just approach God and ask him and say, "Lord, I am out of my depth right now, and I really need you, and I need your wisdom, and I need your will to guide my life and my steps and my actions and everything I'm doing." So that's what, it was really personal for me.
Yeah, 2
And
young
so,
girls under 2. That's
it's
you
unbelievable.
need some wisdom.
It's crazy right now. So I really, really am. I need it. And so it was like, oh God, I see what you're doing. He put it on my plate as I was writing this. And as I was writing this, it was a while back. And so it was really fresh. Like, our girl, Tatum was young newborn
She'd
baby.
just been born,
And so I'm like, man, like I really need to continue to rely on something that's not myself.
Yeah, I love how God will just give you what you need.
Oh, it's crazy.
Even as you're you're thinking, I'm going to write this
Yeah.
for the benefit of somebody
Yeah,
else. God's like,
right.
well, I'm going to bless you while you're
Mhm.
in the middle of writing this to hopefully benefit other people as well.
Absolutely.
That's great. And it connects really well with First Kings 3.
Mhm.
Even I don't know if you were thinking about that, but I certainly was when you were talking how Solomon is in charge of the kingdom of Israel, and he's asking God for one thing that God will give him. And instead of asking for more military might, more strength, more power, more advisors, to help him out, more, stuff like that,
Mhm.
he asks for the heart that would know how to
Yeah.
govern the people. He
Yeah.
asks for the wisdom to know what to do and to make decisions
Mhm.
wisely on behalf of the people. And
Yep.
and so I was thinking about like that. That's a great connection even there for you, in that as a dad, you have charge of these two little girls,
Mhm.
and for all parents, no matter how many kids you have, girls, boys, or just one kid, doesn't matter. Like, they're your responsibility,
Yeah.
at least until they grow up and be an adult. And so, gosh, you really need to have that. I need God's help with this, and
Mhm.
rather than ask for something like Solomon could have asked for more money,
Yeah.
or more people around me to help me out. It's like,
Yeah.
well, those are all good things that might help. But first and foremost, I've got to go to God
Oh, and
and
let me
ask
say
for
this about
wisdom.
Solomon too. That's interesting. Is I think about the situation he was in. He had a lot. Like Solomon wasn't hurting. He inherited this kingdom and he was the leader. And
Hmm.
I think sometimes there can be a pride element in that where
Yeah, true.
Solomon is like, well, man, like look at all I have. I don't know that I need right now. Sometimes we get in those situations of life where it's just like, hey, I've got what I need right now. I'm full. I'm good. I couldn't imagine more. And so, it would have been foolish, but Solomon could have said, yeah, no, you know what? Um, I think I've got this covered, God, actually. Why don't you hang out over there? And I'm gonna
Go
just kind
help
of do
somebody
me.
else. I'm
And
okay.
and and we're good. We're good right here.
Yeah.
But Solomon, like in his humility, realized, no, as a young leader, like an inexperienced leader, I need wisdom and guidance. And you're right. He could have asked God for anything. It could have been self-serving, even. Hey God, I know we're like working on this new temple, but can we just like also give me a cottage in the woods too, and buy a nice stream? No, but
Yeah.
he's like, hey God,
With a hot tub.
I
Yeah.
need wisdom because I'm gonna mess up and do
Right.
boneheaded things and
That's
make mistakes, and so I need you to guide me because I'm
hmm
not enough to do it on my own. So
and being the son of David, like
yeah,
the king that was by most regards and most respects the best king
yeah,
in the history.
greatest king of
It's
all
like,
time. No, I'm
yeah,
kidding.
goat,
maybe,
the
maybe I don't
goat, the
know.
greatest of all time.
Yeah,
He might be, other than Jesus, of course.
sure.
And yet he doesn't ride on
Yeah,
his dad's coattails and
yeah,
just say like, I've got this. I love that idea of thinking of the pride that could creep in and saying,
sure.
I know what I need to do, but instead being willing to turn to God and ask for help. So we've gone through a lot, but
Mhm.
give us a one next step to take today on day 6 of 21 days of
Yeah,
prayer, or maybe it's something that maybe you can't do today, but you could think about tomorrow, or sometime in the next couple days, just something really practical to put in
sure.
place, as soon as possible.
Yes, I'd say this. Like to anyone watching this, if you're still watching, cool. If not, whatever. But like, if you believe that you are either in a good situation where you don't need wisdom, where you don't need God, or maybe you feel like you're in a bad situation where you're too far gone. No matter who you are or where you're at, like we all still need to rely on the Lord. We can like we're not good on our own. Like it's simply God and His Son Jesus who makes us right and holy in His sight. And so, like, if we start believing that we've got this,
Yeah.
that we can handle our situation or handle our life or do great things on our own, I think we'd be sorely mistaken. And so, like, my challenge to anyone who's watching and they're asking, how can I allow this to transform my prayer life? I think that when we approach God, we just need to approach Him with the humility at all times to say, God, I'm approaching you because I need you.
Hmm.
God, I'm approaching you because I am so low and so incapable of doing anything on my own that I literally need to come to you today, or my day is going to be a wash and
Yep.
my life is going to be a bust. And I just need you. So it's that posture, the posture of humility, and also just the posture of realizing that we're not just talking to some other person, we're talking to God, the creator of the universe. And so why not seek after the wisdom He has and the things He has for us? I think that would just be a waste of an
Mm.
opportunity. And it'd be really foolish for us to think we don't need that.
Yeah.
So if you're in your prayer life right now and you're like, how can I let this transform me? I just say every time you approach God, just go with the willingness to say, I'm less, he is more, and I can benefit from this, and I need to do this.
Yeah. So there it is. That's a great challenge for us today. Be dependent and reliant on God to give you what you need. Thanks for being here for day 6, Michael. Appreciate you writing it, and hope you guys enjoyed reading the devotion today as well. Hopefully it's been something that will bless you. We hope that this podcast will be something that God will use to spark a revolution of life change in your heart and in your life through Jesus. We'll see you guys tomorrow.